opposition voting tomorrow for the Speaker's position at 11 a.m. tomorrow morning, voting for the Speaker's position. It's going to be a very interesting face-off between the opposition and the government at this point. Om Birla is the NDA candidate who's already filed his nomination. And from the opposition side, a surprise that sprung up last minute. K Suresh files his nomination for the Speaker's post. Rajdeep Sardesai, our consulting editor, joins us on the phone line for more on that. Rajdeep, we're looking at a fierce face-off, renewed vigour from the opposition's end, and a surprise. Initially, they said they'll support Om Birla if they got the Deputy Speaker's position, but things have changed now.
Well, it almost seems as if it's business as usual. It almost seems as if the elections didn't take place a few weeks ago, which suggested a possibility of consensus building and coalition building. Instead, much like in the 17th Lok Sabha, we have the two sides daggers drawn. Of course, this time the one difference, the opposition has greater numbers. But there was the hope that a consensus could be arrived at on both the Speaker's post and the Deputy Speaker's post, as has been the convention. Unfortunately, on a day when the emergency anniversary of 75 is being marked, we are seeing conventions being broken on all sides. The fact is that the government of the day could have reached out to the opposition with the Deputy Speaker's post. I was hearing Piyush Goyal. Mr. Goyal is being slightly economical with the truth. The truth of the matter is the Deputy Speaker's post is offered by convention to the opposition, while the government gets the Speaker's post. Since that agreement could not be reached, the opposition has decided to field a candidate, and we will have an election for the Speaker's post, which is something which is all too rare, doesn't happen very often, and will only, many believe, only lead to a further polarization and division within this particular Lok Sabha. So what could have been achieved with a bit of negotiation and handholding has unfortunately resulted in both sides now only toughening their position and saying that there will be a contest for the Speaker's post. Interestingly, K Suresh is an 8-time MP. He's also a Dalit, and expect the opposition to play the card that they played during the Lok Sabha elections, wherein a large section of Dalit vote was seen to have gone to them. So they will play that card, and the government is calling for continuity by putting up Om Birla, who was the Speaker in the previous Lok Sabha.
But nonetheless, looking at the strength, clearly the NDA has the numbers, much above the opposition collectively. So it's just posturing, or do you think K Suresh stands a chance?
No, I think it's almost certain that Om Birla will be the Speaker of the Lok Sabha. Obviously, the government is confident of the numbers. The NDA certainly has the numbers. But it's the messaging that's going out. The messaging clearly is the government doesn't want to give an inch to the opposition, and the opposition doesn't want to dialogue with a government that they don't trust. So you've got this huge trust deficit. So that's the unfortunate message that has gone out. And even when Om Birla is chosen, that the residue of this bad blood between government and opposition can only be expected to continue. In the previous Lok Sabha, the government was so vastly superior in numbers to the opposition that the opposition could be steamrolled. This time the opposition will have possibly a greater voice, but it's unfortunate, I repeat, that you have an election to the Speaker's post, because that is not the convention. The convention is you elect a Speaker by consensus. He's seen as someone who will rise above the party divide, and you move forward. Unfortunately, we've taken one step back, in my view, by the government insisting that they will not give any commitment on the Deputy Speaker's post, and the opposition insisting that that commitment must come from the government before they give their approval to the Speaker's choice. So, and Om Birla himself, Nabila, remember, is someone who disqualified or suspended 115 MPs, the highest ever in a single Lok Sabha. So he comes with that baggage as well. There's a huge trust deficit as a result on both sides. And unfortunately, one can only feel sorry, because parliamentary practice and convention will be a casualty as a result.
You know, Rajdeep, what have your sources told you with regards to the Deputy Speaker? Rahul Gandhi, in his reaction to the media, says that he was assured, at least the opposition was assured, that the Deputy Speaker's post will go to them, and on that condition they'd support Om Birla for Speaker's post. But we have no word on that from the NDA on that.
I don't think there was any assurance, this was, I believe, from what I gather, one of the conditions that Mallikarjun Kharge had put to Rajnath Singh when they spoke yesterday, saying we are ready to support your candidate for Speaker, but Deputy Speaker's post must come to the opposition. I think there was a conversation in that regard. Obviously, the government will now say that no commitment was given of any kind. Rajnath Singh was being used to try and build a consensus because he's one of the few leaders in the government who has a connect with a wide range of opposition leaders. But clearly, even that has not worked. So unless even now the two sides come to some kind of an agreement, the Deputy Speaker's post could well be like in 2019, kept hanging. It's a constitutional post, but 2019 had the unique distinction where there was no Deputy Speaker, and yet another parliamentary convention was not followed at that time. It would be disappointing, I think, for Parliament if that convention is not followed in 2024. Maybe the government has the option of putting up one of its allies and suggesting one of their allies as a Deputy Speaker. Unlikely for now. For now, I guess, like in 2019, they will keep the Deputy Speaker's post vacant. I think the message the government wants to send out is nothing has changed. It's business as usual.
Right. Rajdeep, finally, a little breakdown from you for our viewers on how important is the Speaker's post. You did mention on how Om Birla suspended hundreds of opposition MPs just last year, but the importance of the Speaker, the role he plays in the House.
You know, Nabila, the Speaker's post is very important, particularly because this time we don't, as of now, have a majority government. We have a coalition government where the majority party is dependent on certain key allies. In that situation, the Speaker does play an important role should there tomorrow be any kind of confidence vote or a no confidence vote in the government. The Speaker's role also becomes important in the context of the kind of debates that he will or will not allow. One of the complaints last time was Mr. Birla did not allow debates on contentious issues that the opposition wished to raise. So the Speaker is expected to play the role of a neutral umpire, but sadly, in recent times, and this is not just Mr. Om Birla, a series of speakers have been accused of being brazenly partisan, and that again has in some way diminished the role and the position of the Speaker's chair. So the Speaker has an important role constitutionally in managing the House and ensuring that the opposition has an equal voice to that of the government, but in recent times, that has simply not happened, Nabila.
All right, Rajdeep, thank you very much for joining us with your inputs.